Hey everyone. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. It really helps YouTube recommend more stories like this one to you. All right, let's jump right in.
The second I noticed my reflection blink when I didn't, I slammed the laptop shut and told myself I was just tired. But I wasn't. I was watched out. I'd been video chatting with this guy every night for the past 2 weeks, and it was getting harder to tell when my screen was off, and when it voice and single quotes to dot his name was Chris. We met on Tinder, obviously. He was cute, not overly polished, just kinda warm, witty texts. Low-res photos. A little older than me, but that was part of the appeal. Something about the way he typed felt real, direct, like he'd actually read my profile, and wasn't just swiping to boost his ego. Our chats moved fast. He liked to FaceTime right before bed. Said my voice helped him sleep. That was flattering the first few times, until it started to feel like an obligation. Like if I didn't pick up, he'd get cold. Or hurt, or disappointed. And that made me feel guilty, which is insane, right? I'd never even met him in person. Anyway, the mirror thing happened during one of those calls. I'd been brushing my hair in my bedroom while talking to him. He wasn't even on screen, just his voice coming through. And I looked up at the mirror behind me for a second. And I swear to God, I blinked, and my reflection didn't. I dropped the brush, froze, looked again. It was normal. Everything was normal, but I felt wrong in my skin. Like I'd slipped out of sync with myself for a second, and hadn't fully snapped back. I told Chris I had to go. He got quiet. Then said, "Is it something I said?" That guilt washed over me again, stupid and fast. "No, I'm just tired." He paused. Then, "You looked beautiful tonight, by the way." I hadn't shown my face during the call. The next morning, I checked every setting on my phone and laptop. I looked for apps I didn't recognize. Checked for signs I'd been hacked, nothing. But I still taped over my laptop cam. It's weird how quickly you go from, "This is probably nothing," to "I'm never sleeping again." I stopped calling Chris for a few days. Texted less. Claimed I had family stuff going on. He played it cool. Said he understood. But the read receipts were always immediate. Like he was waiting. Then, Thursday night, he FaceTimed me out of the blue. I almost let it ring out, but something made me pick up. Maybe I wanted to prove to myself I wasn't being dramatic. The screen was black at first, just his voice. "I miss your room." I froze. "What?" He turned his camera on. It was his face, but it was close. Too close. Cropped so tight I could only see his mouth and part of his nose. I said his name. He smiled. "Do you ever feel like you're being watched?" He asked. I ended the call. After that, I uninstalled Tinder. Blocked his number. Deleted everything. The next morning, there was a knock on my apartment door. I live alone. Top floor. Old building with paper-thin walls and an intercom that hasn't worked since I moved in. Nobody just shows up. I crept to the PEEPOLE. No one. But taped to the door was a single Polaroid. It was of me, sitting on my bed, laptop open. Brush in hand. Hair half tied, and behind me, in the mirror, there was someone else's face. I stayed at my sister's place that night. Told her someone was stalking me from Tinder. Left out part about the mirror. I didn't want her thinking I was losing it. But at 3:12 a.m., I got a notification from a private number. It was a photo. A screenshot, I think, grainy and tinted with that pale gray-blue glow of my bedroom at night. The caption said, "You sleep with your mouth open." I couldn't explain that picture. It wasn't from a phone. The angle was wrong, like it came from above me. But I had no cameras. No smart devices. No echo. No Nest. I started to wonder if I was being filmed through my smoke detector or some bullshit. I tore my room apart. Nothing. No wires. No holes. No signs of forced entry. But still, I stopped sleeping in there. Started crashing on the couch. Kept the lights on. Every shadow looked suspicious. Every sound felt like a signal. Then came the worst night. Saturday. My sister begged me to go out with her, just to take my mind off everything. I said yes. We went to a bar near my place. I stayed sober. When I got back home, I found the door unlocked. I know I locked it. Triple checked. It clicks. You feel it. But now it was slightly cracked, just enough to see inside. I didn't go in. I backed away. Called 911. The cops came. Cleared the place. Said it was secure. Maybe I forgot to lock it. Maybe someone jiggled it open. Nothing was stolen. Nothing was broken. But when they left, I walked into my bedroom and found something on my pillow. It was a sticky note. Pale yellow. Cheap kind. 3 words written in pen. You blinked first. I almost moved out that night, but part of me needed answers. I needed to understand. Was Chris just a stalker? A hacker? Someone I knew playing some sick joke? I went back into the Tinder app, reinstalled it. Logged in. Chris's profile was gone, not unmatched. Not blocked. Deleted. Erased. Like he'd never been there. I started searching the username, screenshotting old texts. But then I remembered. I'd never screen recorded any of our calls. Never taken photos. I didn't even have his last name. I called my sister. She tried to help me retrace. But when I mentioned Chris, she asked, "Wait, is that the guy you said looked like a blur?" I stopped cold. "What do you mean?" She said I'd shown her his profile once, and the photos were so low quality it looked like he was always in motion. I didn't remember saying that. But when I looked at the one picture I had left on my phone, the only selfie he ever sent, I saw what she meant. It wasn't a blur exactly. It was off. Like the depth was warped. The smile too wide, or maybe too still. And behind him, a mirror. Always a mirror. The night part 1 left off. I couldn't stop staring at that last selfie of him. The warped smile. The stretched depth behind him. The mirror over his shoulder. I zoomed in until the pixels broke apart, but the longer I looked, the more wrong it felt. Like the image was bending, not blurry, warping itself. I should have thrown my phone across the room. Instead, I kept zooming. My eyes burned. My breath got shallow. And then I noticed something I swear wasn't there before. In the mirror behind him, a part of a face. Not his. A reflection slightly behind his shoulder. Just an eye. Wide open, like it was staring past him. And directly at me. I dropped the phone. The room felt colder instantly. Not in a drafty way, in a something is standing in the corner watching you breathe kind of way. I forced myself to walk through the apartment. Lights on, checking every door, every closet. Even under the bed like a child afraid of monsters. But the monster wasn't under anything. It was behind glass. That night, I slept with a hoodie pulled over my head. I couldn't risk turning toward any reflective surface by accident. I unplugged the bathroom mirror light, taped a towel over the big closet doors, even turned my picture frames face down. Stupid, right? I felt insane, but waking up and facing the mirror wasn't the scary part. It was falling asleep not knowing if my reflection was doing the same. I got maybe 3 hours of broken sleep before my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Unknown image. I didn't want to open it. Everything in me said don't, but curiosity is a sickness. And mine was terminal. It was a photo of my bedroom door. Closed, taken from inside the room. The message under it said, "You weren't supposed to cover the mirrors." I started shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. I called 911 again. The operator recognized me from the last time, gave me that polite, wary tone people use when they're deciding whether you're paranoid about to fall apart. Officers came. Again, same two as before. They didn't find anyone inside. Again, no fingerprints. Nothing out of place. One of them suggested I talk to someone, not in a rude way, but in the "you're unraveling and we know the signs" way. The other asked if I did any sleepwalking, if maybe I took the photo. I almost laughed. If I could sleepwalk, I'd be sleeping. I went to my landlord that afternoon and demanded they check the whole building's security footage. He sighed, typed slowly, acted like it was the biggest favor in the world. We scrubbed through footage of my floor around the time. The photo was timestamped. Nobody entered. Nobody left. But at 3:58 a.m., something flickered by my door. Not a person, more like a frame glitching. A shape stretching in two directions and collapsing back into nothing. My landlord tapped the monitor and said, "Old system. Freezes sometimes." But I wasn't watching the freeze. I was watching the reflection in the metal fire extinguisher case, mounted across the hall. Something was standing right outside my door. I stepped back from the screen. "Can I get a copy of that?" I asked. "No," he said, too quickly. That evening I decided I wasn't staying there another minute. I packed a bag, just essentials, and booked a cheap hotel across town. One of those places with scratchy blankets and buzzing lights, but no reflective surfaces except the bathroom mirror, which I immediately draped a towel over. It felt safer. Not safe, but safer. I kept imagining that warped image from his selfie. That eye behind his shoulder. The captions he left. The Polaroid. The sticky note. The way he said, "You looked beautiful tonight," even though I'd never been on camera. A thought crept into me and wouldn't leave. What if he wasn't watching me through a camera? What if he was watching me through mirrors? At around 11:40 p.m., someone knocked on my hotel door. 3 slow knocks. Too slow to be housekeeping or a drunk guest. I froze. Didn't breathe. Waited. Then my phone buzzed. Another unknown number. The message said, "I don't need your address. I just need a surface." I looked around the room. The TV was off, reflective. The window was dark, reflective. The black plastic microwave door, reflective. The stainless steel sink, reflective. Suddenly the room felt like a trap. The knocking started again. Louder this time. But not banging, dragging. Like fingertips scraping the wood, I backed away into the bathroom. Shut the door. Pressed my back to it. And then I made the worst mistake I could have made. I looked at the mirror. At first, it was just me. Pale, terrified, eyes wide. Hair messy. But then the reflection breathed out, a long, foggy exhale that didn't come from my lips. I stumbled backward so hard I hit the bathtub. The towel slid off the mirror and crumpled to the floor. And there, in the fogged patch, a handprint appeared. Not mine, too large. Long fingers that dragged down the glass slow enough for me to hear it. My phone buzzed again. Open the door. It wasn't a text. It was a voice message. I pressed play with trembling fingers. It was my voice speaking back. "Let me in." I started crying, ugly, shaking, barely breathing. I pressed both hands over my ears like that would stop the world from folding inward. The knocking stopped. The silence was worse. I stayed in the bathroom for what felt like an hour, maybe more. Sitting on the tile, listening for anything. The only sound was the hum of the vent and my own heartbeat crushing my ribs. Finally, I got up. Moved slowly to the bathroom door. Opened it a crack. The room looked empty. I crept toward the main door and peeked through the peephole. No one, but taped to the outside of my door, just like back at my apartment, was another Polaroid. I reached out, hands trembling, and took it down. The photo was of me, sitting in the exact bathroom where I'd been hiding minutes ago. And behind me, in the mirror, something tall and thin loomed over my shoulder. Part of a face. Wide open eye. Mouth stretched eerily neutral. But the worst part wasn't the thing. It was the TIMEST. MP. The photo was taken tomorrow. I didn't sleep at all. The next morning, I checked out of the hotel before the sun came up. Went to a crowded cafe. Sat by the window where everything outside was bright and reflective, but still felt safer than being alone in a room. I kept telling myself I needed to go to the police again. But what would I say? A dating match is stalking me through mirrors and sending photos from the future? I decided to leave the city. Just for a little while. Stay with my aunt 2 states over. Somewhere quiet. When I got back to my apartment to grab the rest of my stuff, the hallway felt too silent. Like the building was holding its breath. I unlocked my door and stepped inside. Everything was exactly where I left it, except one thing. The towel I'd taped over my bedroom mirror was gone, and written across the glass in dry marker. In my own handwriting were 3 words: stop looking away. I left that night. Drove until my eyes burned. I've been staying with family since then. No mirrors in my room. No screens near my bed. I cover the TV with a blanket and turn picture frames backward. I still see things sometimes. Glitches in the corner of my eye. Someone blinking when I don't. A reflection leaning in too close when I wash my hands. Every so often, I get another message from a number that doesn't exist. No text. Just a photo. Always of me. Always from behind a surface I didn't realize was reflective. And the last one, the one that made me start telling this story, came an hour ago. It's a live photo of me sitting here, typing this. And in the last frame, before the motion resets, my reflection turns its head and smiles. It's still smiling. I knew something was wrong when Tyler left his jacket behind. He was the kind of guy who never forgot things. Wallet, charger, gym bag, he always had a system. Dates were planned to the minute. Drinks calculated by number, not vibe. Even his texts read like drafts he edited before sending. So when he ghosted me after our 3rd date, completely vanished, it felt off in a way I couldn't explain. Not like he lost interest. Like he lost access. I stared at his last text over and over. Tonight was perfect. Can't wait to see you again, smiley face. That was 5 weeks ago. No replies since. Phone rang once, then straight to voicemail. I told myself to move on. It was Tinder. These things happen. But deep down I knew, people like Tyler don't just disappear. We met on a rainy Thursday night. Matched that morning, and by 8 p.m., we were tucked into a too-small booth at a wine bar downtown. I remember the way he smiled when I made a dumb joke about his photo looking like a dentist ad, polished and overly white. He laughed and said, "You should see the ones I don't post." He was weirdly charming. Not in a flashy, instant chemistry kind of way, more like a calm pull. Like when you realize you're swimming further from shore than you meant to, but it still feels safe. The next 2 dates were easy. Late night walks. Thai takeout. Hours of conversation that made the world feel quieter. On the 3rd date, we kissed. Long, slow. He pressed his hand against my cheek like he didn't want to let go. Then he left his jacket. Sighed. Now you'll have to see me again. But that was the last time I saw him. I let a week pass before texting. Then another. By week 3, I felt stupid. Heartbroken in that weird, shallow, deep way where it's not long enough to matter, but intense enough to hurt. Tried to write it off as just another dating fail, until a friend of mine, Julia, called out of nowhere. She was breathing hard. "You matched with a guy named Tyler, right?" My blood went cold. "Yeah, why?" "Look at this." She sent me a screenshot from her Bumble. A guy named Chris, but it was the same photos. Same suit, same half smile. Same stupid jacket he left at my place. Except now, The background in the pic was different. Behind him, on the wall, there were red handprints. Not paint. Not digital. Actual smeared handprints. Like someone tried to crawl off the wall. They were faint. Almost hidden. But once you saw them, you couldn't unsee it. I called the number I had saved for him. Still disconnected, I opened our old texts. Scrolled up. The photos he'd sent weren't loading anymore. Just gray placeholders with the words, "Image unavailable." It was like he'd never existed. But I still had the jacket. Still had the ghost of his cologne, peppery and expensive, soaked into the collar. Brought it to the police. Said I thought someone was missing. That something was wrong. The officer at the front desk took my name, then blinked like she'd misheard. Tyler R. _ Brown hair, blue eyes? Yeah, I said. She got up. Walked to the back. Came out 5 minutes later with another officer. This one older, serious. He sat me down. Asked a bunch of weird, slow questions. When was the last time I saw him? Did he seem paranoid? Did I go inside his place? Did he ever mention anyone following him? I said no to all of it. Then asked the question eating a hole through my chest. Has something happened to him? The officer hesitated. Then said, "We found someone matching his description 3 weeks ago. In a storage unit outside the city. Unidentified. We've been trying to confirm the ID." I told him about the Bumble profile Julia found. Showed him the photo with the handprints. He leaned in. Zoomed the image, stared for way too long. Then he said, "This profile was created 4 days ago. They confirmed it was Tyler the next day. The body was badly decomposed. Blunt force trauma to the head. Teeth mostly intact. But the photos on file matched enough to be conclusive. Cause of death, homicide. Approximate time of death, 3 days after our 3rd date, meaning someone else had created that Bumble profile. Someone with access to his photos. Someone uploading new images with disturbing details hidden inside them. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the couch with all the lights on. Jacket folded next to me like proof that none of this was in my head. At around 2:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. No caller ID, I answered. My voice cracked. There was no sound. Just breathing, then static. And buried under it, a voice. Muffled, broken, barely audible. "It's not me." I hung up and threw the phone across the room. The police tracked the number, or tried to. No SIM, no record of it ever existing. Like it was spoofed from a device that wasn't real. I asked if it could have been Tyler before he died. They said it was impossible. The call came from a tower that wasn't even active 3 weeks ago, but someone out there had his photos. His smile. His voice, and they were using him. For what? I didn't know. But then Julia matched with him again. Julia called me at 9:41 p.m., and I knew immediately something was wrong. Her voice was too thin. Too forced. "Don't freak out," she said. But I matched with him again. I felt the bottom drop out of my stomach. With Tyler? I whispered. Double quotes, no. The profile name says Evan this time, but it's him. Same exact face. He looks, she paused. He looks like he's posing in your apartment. I stood up so fast the couch shifted. Why what? What do you mean my apartment? I'm sending it. Her voice cracked. Please don't get mad at me. The image came through a second later. And everything in my body went cold. It was Tyler. Same blue eyes. Same smile. Except this time he wasn't using the clean-cut pictures from before. This one was new. In the photo, he was standing in a hallway, my hallway, right outside my bedroom. The carpet pattern, the chipped paint on the closet doorframe, the faint dent near the light switch, it was all there. But what froze me wasn't the setting. It was the shadow behind him. Something tall, long, almost bent double, like it was folding itself to fit behind human shape. The shadow didn't match his pose. Didn't match any pose a person could make. It leaned toward him like it was whispering. Told Julia not to respond to the match. Not a single emoji. Not even a swipe. She said she already hadn't. But the profile had messaged her first. 3 words. You saw me. She blocked him immediately. Her voice trembled the entire call. By the time she hung up, I was already shoving clothes into a bag. My hands were shaking. My throat tight. My mind spinning in tight, sharp circles. There was no way, that photo could exist unless someone had been inside my apartment recently. After the police had been there. After the locks were changed, that someone had been inside, or something. Drove to a hotel 30 minutes away, a nicer one this time. Bright hallways, security cameras at every corner, loud lobby, people everywhere. The kind of place stalkers avoid. I checked in under my middle name. Paid in cash. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like maybe I'd put enough distance between me and whatever was happening. I fell asleep around 1 a.m., and for a moment, I forgot. At 3:42 a.m., the landline in the hotel room rang. Not my cell. The landline, the one nobody knew existed. I stared at it. It kept ringing, insistent, slow, like something was calling from underwater. I picked it up by accident. Muscle memory. I guess, like answering a phone in the middle of the night was a reflex. I didn't say anything. Neither did the person on the other end. Just breathing, soft, close, like someone was pressed against the speaker. After 10 long seconds, I whispered, "What do you want?" The breathing paused. Then a voice, familiar but wrong, said, "I didn't ghost you." I slammed the phone down so fast it rattled. I barely slept after that. When morning finally came, I checked out again. Another hotel, farther away this time. A different chain. Different city. I didn't tell Julia where I'd gone. Didn't tell my family. Didn't tell anyone. I needed distance, not safety. Safety wasn't real anymore. For 2 days, nothing happened. No messages. No phone calls. No photos. I started convincing myself it was over. That maybe someone stole his photos, made disturbing edits, spoofed numbers, hacked my apps. Something grounded. Something terrible. But tangible. I'd almost believed that story. Almost. Until the police called again. The detective from before asked me to come in, urgently. His tone wasn't annoyed or suspicious anymore. It was concerned. And that scared me more than anything else. When I arrived, they led me to a small office. The detective slid a folder across the table. Inside were 4 printed images. I felt my throat close. Each picture was a screenshot from different dating apps. Bumble, Hinge, Tinder, even Facebook dating. Each profile used Tyler's face. Same smile. Same eyes, but the backgrounds. The first was taken in someone's kitchen, red stains on the tile floor behind him. The second, a garage, something wrapped in plastic in the corner. The third, a forest at night, someone's arm visible behind a tree, reaching out. The fourth, what looked like an empty apartment. My empty apartment, all posted at different times. All active. All matching with women across the city. The detective looked at me and said, "We interviewed one of the women. She said the guy wouldn't meet her, but kept sending voice notes." He paused. "We had them analyzed. The AI detection tools say the voice is modeled after a real person. A dead person." My stomach churned. Then he added, "And the voice they're copying is your friend Tyler's." On the way back to my car, I felt eyes on me. Not paranoid eyes. Intentional eyes. I walked faster, keys between my fingers, scanning the lot like prey. Something was off. The air felt heavy, like pressure shifting before a storm. By the time I reached my car, my hands were shaking. I checked the back seat. Checked under the car. Checked the trunk. Nothing. But when I got inside, my phone buzzed. Another photo. No caption. It was taken from the parking lot camera, grainy. Low res, but clear enough. It was a picture of me leaning into my car. Checking the backseat. Directly behind me, in the reflection of the car window, was Tyler's face, but not the warm smile I remembered. This face was stretched. Too wide, eyes too pale. Mouth parted like he was about to whisper. My breath caught. The timestamp was 1 minute ago. I drove without thinking. Highway, back roads, random turns, until I found myself parked at a lakeside rest area 2 towns over. Wind howled. Tree branches scraped the roof. The dark water looked like an endless hole. I sat there shaking, jacket pulled around me, trying to steady my breath. That was when I realized Tyler didn't ghost me. Tyler didn't leave. Tyler didn't disappear. Something took his place. Something wearing his face. Using his smile like a costume. Moving through apps like a parasite hopping host. It didn't want a date. It didn't want romance. It wanted entry. First into his life, then into mine. And now it wanted something else. I was still staring at the lake when my phone buzzed again. A voice note. From Tyler's old number. I shouldn't have listened, but I pressed play. The voice was soft, breathy, and horrifyingly close. Turn around. I froze, didn't move, didn't breathe. Then the voice repeated, deeper, distorted. Turn around. Slowly, too slowly. I looked into the rearview mirror. At first, there was nothing. Just the back seat. The darkness. My own terrified eyes. Then, in the far corner of the reflection, something shifted. Barely perceptible. Like a shadow pulling itself inward. A shape unfolded. Long, thin, bent wrong. Merging with the outline of a human head wearing Tyler's face like it didn't quite know how to hold it together. The reflection grinned. Not mirrored. Independent. A smile stretching too big. Too red. I spun around, but the back seat was empty. When I looked back at the mirror, the reflection was still there. Closer now. Too close. Its lips moved, but no sound came out. The message on my phone did instead. Just 3 words. Your next match. I drove until sunrise. Didn't stop once. Didn't check the mirrors again. When the sun finally rose, I pulled into a crowded diner. Families, kids, noise. Normal life. People who still belong to the world. I sat there shaking, trying to breathe like a normal person. Then my phone buzzed. New Tinder match. 1 say hi to Tyler. I deleted the app. Deleted my number. Smashed the SIM card. Switched phones. But it doesn't matter. On every reflective surface, every window, every dark screen, every car door, sometimes I see a face over my shoulder, not attached to a body. Just hovering behind me. Smiling. Waiting. I don't swipe anymore. I don't date. I barely leave the house, because now I know something no one prepares you for. Some ghosts don't haunt places. They haunt profiles, and once they match with you, they never unmatch. I knew something was off when he asked me to meet him at a lake, and didn't say the name of it. Just, let's meet by the lake. You'll love it. Real quiet. It was supposed to be our first time seeing each other in person. We'd been texting for a couple weeks. His name was Adam, profile full of grainy but decent photos, fishing trips, dogs, old bookstore selfies, that sort of thing. Something about him felt grounded, normal, safe. But something in my stomach turned when he said the lake like there was only one, like I should just know which one he meant. So I asked. And he said, no name. Just coordinates. I laughed at first, assuming he was kidding. He wasn't. He sent a pin. Just a dropped red dot on a map, 2.5 hours north of the city. No highway exit. No trail name. Just a loop of narrow back roads, thick trees, and still water. The place didn't even have cell coverage. According to the map, we'll have it all to ourselves, he wrote. I told my roommate, Brooke, that something about this felt sketchy. She gave me the look. You're literally a walking true crime podcast, Taylor. No, you're not going. She was right, of course. But I had that stupid, stubborn little voice in my head that always says the same thing. What if he's actually normal? What if this is just how modern dating works now? So I made a compromise. I told Adam I'd come, but I was bringing someone. He got quiet for almost an hour. Then finally replied, sure, the more the merrier. We drove up that Saturday, me and Brooke, a full tank of gas, and a gut full of red flags. I won't lie, the scenery was beautiful. Golden trees, the road hugging the edge of the lake, no traffic, no cell service. Just silence. That deep kind that makes your ears feel full. When we got close to the pin, Brooke slowed the car. Are you sure this is it? She asked. The only sign of life was an overgrown trailhead, mostly hidden behind some pine trees. No signs, no parking area. Just a wide patch of gravel and a narrow dirt path leading into the woods. This is what he sent, I said, frowning. We parked. There were no other cars. We walked about half a mile down the trail. It twisted through trees and dipped steeply downhill. The ground was damp, pine needles thick underfoot. A couple times we heard rustling, but never saw anything. Eventually, the trail opened into a clearing, and there it was. The lake. Still, dark, and dead quiet. No boats. No dock, no houses. Just water surrounded by trees that pressed in too close. Brooke let out a low whistle. I'll give it this, she said. Creepy, but kinda gorgeous. We waited. No sign of him. I texted Adam, we're here. No reply. We sat on a log near the edge of the lake. Waited some more. 10 minutes. 15. Then Brooke frowned and nudged me. Did you hear that? A soft crunch behind us. Like a footstep on dry leaves. We turned. No one, just trees. Probably an animal, I said. But my voice didn't sound like my own. Then we both jumped as my phone buzzed. Adam had replied, I see you. I stared at the screen, then looked around the clearing. Nothing, no sound. No movement. Brooke stood up. Okay, we're done here. I didn't argue. We started walking back to the car. Faster this time. Half jogging in silence, too aware of how narrow the trail was. Brooke kept glancing over her shoulder. At one point, she said, I swear someone's behind us. I didn't look. Didn't want to know. We reached the car and piled in fast. She locked the doors, turned the engine, sped out onto the road like we were being chased. We didn't say anything until we hit a gas station about 20 minutes down. That's when I finally exhaled. Brooke looked at me. I don't like this guy. I know, I said. I don't either. That night he texted again. Why'd you leave? I brought something for you. No picture. No explanation. I didn't respond. Blocked the number. 2 days later, I got a letter in the mail. No stamp. No return address. Inside was a small printed photo. Matte finish. It showed Brooke and me sitting by the lake. On that log, taken from behind. From the trees, underneath, scrawled in pen. Next time, come alone. I stared at the photo for so long my eyes blurred. It was real. Too real. Me and Brooke on the log. The grain in the wood matched. The angle was high, like it had been taken from a tree or a tripod. We never heard a camera. Never saw a lens. But he'd been watching us the entire time. The pen scrawl underneath it. Next time, come alone. That was when I knew it wasn't just about meeting. It wasn't even about dating. It was about control. He wanted me to feel seen, watched, hunted. Brooke was done after that. Completely. She made me swear not to talk to him. Not to answer if he found another number. She even threatened to go to the cops herself. But what could I tell them? Some guy from Tinder invited me to a remote lake. then sent me a picture of myself from the woods. There were no laws broken. Not really. Not yet. So I just froze, blocked everything, switched my number, deleted every dating app, wiped my accounts, shut it all down. I wanted to believe it was over. That maybe, if I starved the attention, he'd get bored. But that's not what happened. 2 weeks passed. Then the mail started again. Always the same. No return address, always hand-delivered. Slipped under the door at night. Never seen. Never heard. Each one was a picture. Always me. Always alone. One was me brushing my teeth in the bathroom, reflection caught in the mirror. Another of me unlocking the front door, back turned, headphones in. The third showed me at the laundromat down the block, looking straight at the camera, except I had no memory of seeing anyone there. He was everywhere, but invisible. I stopped sleeping. Brooke moved out, said she couldn't take it. Not the photos, not the waiting, not the feeling that someone was always close, but never there. And honestly, I didn't blame her. The final letter came on a Thursday. Different from the rest. This one was heavier. Inside wasn't a photo. It was a key. A single rusted key with a small tag attached. The tag read, "Cabin by the lake. 1 p.m., come alone." My hands went cold. That same voice in my head, the one that always tries to explain things away, whispered, "Maybe if you go, this ends. Maybe it's just one last act, one final scare." I don't know why I listened. Maybe I was tired of running. Maybe I needed to understand. Or maybe I was already broken down enough to say yes. The next day, I drove. Not in my car. I rented one. Parked my own 2 towns away. I wore a hoodie, hat, no jewelry. Left my phone behind. No GPS. Just the key in my pocket and a printed map. The drive was silent. Woods closing in. Roads turning to gravel. Then to dirt. Then to nothing. Eventually, I found it. A cabin, barely standing. No lights, half-collapsed porch. The kind of place that feels pre-haunted even before you walk inside. I almost turned around. But I was already there. The key worked. The lock clicked like it had been waiting for me. Inside, it smelled like mildew and wood rot. Dust thick enough to coat the air. Floor creaked like it was breathing. There was only one room. In the middle of it, a chair, and on the chair, a phone. Old Android. Face up. Screen lit. It was already recording. I approached it slowly. Every step made the floor complain. I picked up the phone and tapped the screen. There was only one app open, the camera. Set to selfie mode. It showed my face, pale, wide-eyed. I wasn't sure why, but I hit record. And that's when the screen glitched. Just for a second. But it was enough. The reflection behind me flickered. It wasn't me. It was him. Adam, or whoever he really was, standing behind me. But when I spun around, no one. I looked at the screen again, still there. His face. But it looked wrong. Pulled, like it was trying to hold shape. But slipping. His mouth moved, but no sound came out. Then a voice. Not from the phone, but from behind the cabin walls. "You finally came alone." I dropped the phone, ran for the door. It slammed shut before I could reach it. I backed away, heart in my throat. Every breath too loud. And then I heard it. Footsteps on the roof. Slow, deliberate, circling, then crawling down the outside wall. Nails scratching wood, like an animal learning how to be human. I ran to the back of the cabin. A window, busted it open. Crawled through. Cut my arm on the glass. Didn't care. I bolted into the woods. Sprinting blind. Thorns slicing my legs. Air like knives in my lungs, but I didn't stop. Not when I heard branches snapping behind me. Not when I heard my own name whispered from every direction at once. Taylor. 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 Not when something brushed the back of my neck like breath made of ice. I kept going until I hit the road. Found the rental. Drove like hell without looking back. I never told anyone. Not the police. Not Brooke. Not my family. What would I say? That I let a stranger lead me into the woods, and he tried to become me. That his voice echoed without a mouth. That he was behind me in every photo waiting. No one would believe it. Hell, I barely do. But I know this. It's not over. A few nights ago, I went to brush my teeth. The bathroom mirror was fogged up. But in the condensation, 3 words had been written from the inside of the glass. Come back alone. I wiped it off. It came back. I smashed the mirror. Threw out every screen in the house. Don't own a phone anymore. But somehow, it's still happening. Every reflection, windows, metal, even water. I sometimes catch a flicker of him. The stretched face, the wrong smile, and always standing right behind me. Some people on dating apps want love. Some want power, and some just want a way in. The second the waiter said my name before I introduced myself, I felt something twist in my gut. Back again? He smiled, placing a menu in front of me. You want your usual table, Emily? I blinked. Sorry, I think you have me confused with someone else. He paused, smile faltering just enough to notice. No, you're Emily, right? I nodded slowly, confused. He leaned in slightly, lowered his voice. You've been here every Saturday for the past 2 months. Always alone. Same guy books the table, same wine order. You show up. You wait. You leave. My heart thudded once, loud. I've never been here before. The waiter just stared at me. That's when he said something I'll never forget. He said you'd say that. 2 weeks earlier. I matched with a guy named Caleb. Nothing wild. Just another normal-looking guy on Tinder. Soft beard, green eyes, awkward charm. His profile was low-key, mostly hiking and dog photos. His texts were sweet but not pushy. The kind of guy who uses too many commas and says things like, "No pressure though," after asking you out. We talked for a week. Then he suggested dinner. Place is called Greenbridge. You'll like it. Kinda quiet. I looked it up. Some cozy bistro tucked away on the edge of the city. Mostly wine and fancy pasta. A little upscale for a first date, but not too weird. I agreed. He made the reservation. The day of the date, he texted me an hour before. Something came up. So sorry, running late. Please don't wait for me. I almost bailed, but I was already dressed. Already in the Uber, so I went anyway. That's when I met the waiter. That's when the story cracked wide open. I sat down, still rattled by what he said. I asked him again, "What do you mean I've been here before?" He shrugged, now more cautious. Same girl. Looks just like you. Same name, same seat. Same wine. I shook my head. No, that wasn't me. He looked down at his notepad. Then back at me. Do you know Caleb? The room felt colder suddenly. I matched with him. This is supposed to be our first date. The waiter's face shifted, subtle but unmistakable. Emily, he said quietly, can I show you something? He returned with a little black notebook. Looked like a server's reservation log. He flipped a few pages, then showed me an entry. Sat 7 p.m. Emily R. Caleb, paid up front, repeated. Week after week. My name. His name, every Saturday. For the last 2 months, prepaid dinners, the waiter said. Always under your name. Caleb never shows. I sat back, heart racing. My full name. My face. My online dating profile. Being used by someone else, repeatedly. Do you have security footage? I asked. He hesitated. I'm not supposed to. Please. We went to the back hallway where a small monitor played looping footage. He scrubbed through the last few. Saturdays, there I was, or someone who looked just like me, sitting at the table, drinking wine, alone, smiling faintly like she knew something no one else did. But it wasn't me. Not quite. Hair was parted differently. Slight differences in posture. But the face was mine. Then came the worst part. He paused the video, zoomed in slightly. The woman looked up at the camera and smiled. Dead dash on like she knew she was being watched. I thought it was you, the waiter said softly. Every time. I swallowed, throat dry. Do you know where she goes afterward? He shook his head. She always leaves before dessert. I assumed she got tired of waiting. I left in a daze. Didn't eat. Didn't stay. Outside, I texted Caleb. What the hell is going on? No response. I tried calling. Straight to voicemail. Checked Tinder. Profile gone. Just vanished. I barely slept that night. I couldn't stop seeing her face in the footage. My face, but not mine. Like someone had learned how to wear me. The next day, I went back to the restaurant during daylight hours. Different staff. Empty tables. I asked the manager if anyone had reserved under Caleb or Emily R. again for that coming weekend. He checked. Frowned. Double quotes yes. Actually, Saturday, 7 p.m. I booked a table 2 spots away. Different name. Paid in cash. And then I waited. Saturday came fast. I got to Greenbridge at 6:55 p.m. Hair tucked into a beanie. Oversized hoodie, no makeup. Didn't look anything like I did on my Tinder profile, or like the version of me that had been showing up every Saturday. They seated me 2 tables away from my usual spot. I kept my eyes low. Ordered water. Waited. At exactly 7:02, she walked in, and my blood ran cold. She looked like me. Exactly like me. Same haircut. Same way I tilt my head when I'm nervous. Same coat I'd posted on Instagram last winter. She even smiled at the host with my smile. The one I thought was mine until I saw someone else wearing it. She sat at the table. Ordered the wine without looking at the menu. Crossed her legs the same way I do when I'm trying to look relaxed. I watched her for 10 straight minutes, frozen. Trying to process what I was seeing. It wasn't just a look-alike. It wasn't just similar. She had studied me. The waiter from before wasn't working that night. But a different server brought her drink, a glass of red. Exactly what I used to order on first dates. The woman raised it to her lips and looked directly at me. Not just a glance around the room. Not a casual flick of the eyes, a direct, knowing stare. Like she knew I was there. She held it for 3 full seconds, smiled. Then she stood up, left the wine untouched, and walked out the front door. I followed. By the time I hit the sidewalk, she was already halfway down the block. Moving fast. I trailed her through 2 side streets before she ducked into an alley behind a row of brownstones. When I turned the corner, she was gone. Gone, like she'd disappeared into the brick, except one of the basement doors to the brownstones was slightly open. No signage. Just a keypad lock left swinging. I pushed it open and stepped inside. The air smelled like dust and candle wax. It wasn't a finished basement. More like a hollowed-out space beneath the building. I followed the faint glow of light around the corner and immediately stopped short. The walls were covered in photos. All of me. Different versions of me. Social media screenshots. Candid street shots. One of me in the laundromat. Another of me walking out of my apartment building. Keys in hand. And in the center of the wall, printed and pinned, was a blown-up screenshot of my Tinder profile. Emily R. 28, likes wine. Books, long walks. Below it, someone had written in marker, perfected, repeated. I backed away, heart hammering. That's when I heard the door close behind me, and a voice said, "You shouldn't be here." I turned. She was standing in the dark, Her face was mine. Her clothes were newer, cleaner. She looked like the better version of me, like a filtered selfie brought to life. "I don't know who you are," I said, my voice breaking. She tilted her head. "You don't?" Then she pulled a phone from her pocket. It was unlocked, open to a Tinder account. My photos. My bio, my name, only. It wasn't mine. It was a duplicate profile. Every detail cloned. I stepped closer and saw dozens of conversations, all with men I didn't know. All ongoing. She was pretending to be me. Matching as me. "You stole my profile," I whispered. She smiled. "I became your profile." That's when it clicked. Caleb never ghosted me. He didn't run. He matched with her. She had been using my profile, my name, my images, to match with men, show up at dates, and do God knows what. She was using me as a mask. I said, "Where is Caleb?" Her smile didn't falter. She simply turned and walked to a small beat-up file cabinet in the corner, opened the top drawer, pulled something out, a small leather wallet. She tossed it to the floor. I didn't want to pick it up, but I did. Inside was a driver's license. Caleb Jordan. His photo. His birthday. And a bloodstain across the edge. "You killed him." She shrugged. "He figured it out. Got too close. He said I wasn't you." I backed away, grabbing my phone. "I'm calling the police." She laughed. "You think they'll believe you?" Then she pointed at the wall of photos, all your selfies, all your matches, all your messages. "This is the version of you that lives online. The version people want." My voice cracked. "You don't know me." She stepped forward. "I know you better than you do." I ran. Full sprint. Slammed the door open. Didn't stop until I was 2 blocks away. Screaming, sobbing, phone shaking in my hand as I called 911. The cops came. Took the report. I brought them back to the brownstone. The door was locked. No sign of forced entry. No open basement. When we finally got inside, the wall of photos was gone. The space was empty. Like no one had ever been there. I gave them everything I had. The Tinder match. The name Caleb. The photo of the driver's license. The waiter's testimony. But without proof, without the wall, the photos. Or the woman. It was all just a story. They said they'd look into it. I knew they wouldn't find her, because she was still out there. I deleted all my accounts. Changed my number. Wiped my photos from the internet as best I could. But every so often, I still get notifications. Someone has requested to reset your Tinder password. A new login was detected from a new device. Welcome back, Emily. I don't click anything, but I know it's her. She's still wearing me. Still using my smile. And somewhere, she's sitting at a table in a quiet little restaurant, waiting for a date I'll be blamed for. The first time I found her other Instagram, I thought it was just a fan account. It used her same first name, Ava, but spelled slightly differently. 2 verses instead of 1. Same photos at first glance, but not quite. The poses were off. The captions were darker. The smile wasn't the same. It was our 3rd week dating. I had just posted a picture of us, nothing crazy. Just a sunset selfie from the hiking trail she picked. I tagged her, of course. I didn't think twice, but when I looked at who liked it, her name showed up twice. That was the start of everything. We met like most people do. These days, Tinder. Her profile was simple. Almost too simple. Just 3 photos. A black and white close-up, one of her feet hanging off a dock, and a selfie in a mirror, her face mostly obscured by her phone. Nothing flashy, but something about her bio got me. Quiet, curious, hard to forget. That last line stuck with me. And yeah, she was hot, but not in that trying too hard way. She felt unreachable. Like someone who knew something you'd IDN single quotes D. We matched. She messaged first. So, are you more curious or more forgettable? I said I hoped curious. She said she'd let me know that Ava was magnetic in person. You know those people who make silence feel comfortable? That was her. She didn't talk a lot, but when she did, it felt like a test, like she was watching your reaction more than she cared about your answer. First date, used bookstore. Second, rooftop drinks. Third, a hike she picked out past the city. Not too remote, but quiet enough that we barely saw anyone else. That day, she asked me if I'd ever wanted to vanish for a little while. I laughed it off. Made some dumb joke about quitting my job and starting a food truck. She didn't laugh. She just looked out over the trees and said, most people wouldn't even notice. Then she took our selfie. The one I posted. When I found the second account, the one spelled @Ava_. I almost missed it. The profile picture was different. Not even a face. Just a single red chair in an empty room. No bio. Just a private account. 167 followers. 0 following, but the posts were public, and they were unsettling. Not overtly creepy, nothing violent or graphic. But all of it felt wrong. Like someone had built a version of her that wasn't meant to be seen. ICROLED. Photo 1. Ava standing in a hallway, half turned, lit only by the glow of an open fridge. Caption: he always watches when I eat. Photo 2. Her reflection in a black TV screen. She's smiling. Something in the darkness behind her looks not right. Caption: do you think he'd notice if I disappeared? Photo 3. A close-up of my hand on her waist. Not a selfie. Taken by someone else. Caption: he touches like he owns. I dropped my phone. I scrolled faster now. Sick to my stomach. There were more. A photo of her sitting on my couch. Another one of her walking out of my apartment building. The captions got colder. More surreal. He never asks the right questions. I want to see what happens if I open the door. No one knows who I really am. Not even him. I hadn't taken any of these. Someone else had. Someone was either following us, or she was staging them. Posting like someone narrating a story no one else knew was happening. Brought it up the next night. I kept it casual, or tried to. We were eating Thai on her balcony. She was barefoot, drinking tea. I said, "So I saw your other Instagram." She didn't react right away. Just sipped her tea. Looked at the skyline. Then she said, "What did you think?" I laughed. "Not really. Is it like a photography project or something?" She smiled, but not in a comforting way. "It's closer to a confession." Then she got up and went inside. Just like that. No explanation. She never brought it up again. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept checking the account. She hadn't posted anything new. But one thing had changed. She was now following one person. Me. I didn't tell anyone. Didn't block her. Didn't say anything the next day when we got coffee. She acted normal. Better than normal. Touchier. Closer. She asked me more questions. Deep ones. About my past, my fears, what I'd change about myself if I could. I gave her surface-level stuff. She gave me nothing back, and I didn't push. I wanted to believe it was just art, that she was just one of those quiet, weird girls who process things through performance. That maybe this was her way of exploring control, identity, being seen. But the fear in my stomach kept growing, because some of the captions weren't written like she was talking about me. Some of them were written like she was warning me. A few days later, I got tagged in a story, not from her main account. From the second one. The image was a zoomed-in, grainy shot of me walking to my car, from behind. Taken that morning. The text over it said, "He doesn't know I watched him leave." I messaged her instantly, "Ava, what the hell is going on?" No reply. I showed the account to a friend, someone who works in digital forensics. He offered to help me find out where the photos were being uploaded from. We tracked the IP from the last story. His face dropped when he saw it. They're being posted from inside your building. I barely slept after that someone was posting pictures of me from inside my building. That meant it wasn't just Ava, or at least it wasn't only Ava. Someone else was involved. Someone who knew where I lived. Someone who was close enough to follow me every day without being seen. But here's the thing. When I told Ava I needed space, she didn't argue. She just said, "Let me know when you're ready to understand." Then she walked away like it wasn't a breakup. Like it was an intermission. I blocked both of her accounts. The main one. The other one. But that didn't stop. New post started showing up under new usernames. Always variations on her name. At a VVA.exact. At Ava.archive. At a _VAA.real. I single quotes dblock1. And 2 more would follow. I'd get tagged in photos I never took. Screenshots of my texts, my apartment door, my window at night. Each time I reported them, they were deleted. But they kept coming back, like the accounts weren't run by a person, but by something programmed to document me. One night, I came home late and found something taped to my door. A printed photo. It was of me, in bed, asleep, not recent. This was from a few weeks earlier. I recognized the hoodie I no longer wore and the book on my nightstand I'd already finished, but the angle was what made my stomach turn. The photo was taken from inside my room, maybe just a few feet away from my bed. No caption, just my face, mid-dream, mouth slightly open, totally unaware. I called the police. They took a report. Did a walkthrough. Said there was no sign of forced entry. No hidden cameras. They chalked it up to a cruel ex-girlfriend prank. But Ava never had keys to my place, and I never gave her a reason to hate me. At least, I didn't think I had. Then came the message that changed everything. A DM from one of the new accounts. The handle was at a VVA.surveillance. The message said, "You only saw the parts I let you see." She was trying to help you. Under it was a video. I didn't want to open it. I swear to God, I didn't, but I couldn't stop myself. It was security footage. Grainy, black and white, of me, sitting on the train. Except, and I swear this on everything, it was from an angle that couldn't exist. The camera was too low, too close, like it was inside the seat across from me, right where Ava had sat on our second date. The video played for 10 seconds. I looked around, checked my phone, smiled at someone out of frame, then paused. And slowly turned to look directly at the camera. Except I had no memory of doing that. None. That night, I left my apartment and checked into a hotel. Didn't even pack. Just walked out. I couldn't stay there. Not with the mirrors, the vents, the windows. Something or someone had been in my life longer than I realized. Watching, recording, curating every moment. And Ava? She wasn't trying to hide it. She was narrating it. At 3:11 a.m. My hotel phone rang. Not my cell. The room phone. I didn't answer. Let it ring 6 times before it stopped. When I checked my phone, there was a new message request. Same account. At a VVA.surveillance it said, "Don't trust what you remember. You're not watching the story. You're in it." Attached was another video. This one showed my apartment hallway, empty, dimly lit. Then, I entered frame, carrying takeout, humming something. Behind me, the door closed, but before it shut, something else slipped in behind me. A shape, human-shaped, but wrong. Too still, too thin. And when I paused the video, its face was mine. I started to spiral. Full panic, I texted Ava. The real one, the original. The girl I matched with, maybe. If you're real, I need to see you. She replied instantly, then come where it started. We met at the same bookstore from our first date. She was already inside, sitting cross-legged in the philosophy aisle, reading Being and Time. She looked up and smiled like nothing had happened. "I thought you'd come sooner," she said. I asked her the question that had been growing like mold in my mind. "Are you doing this to me?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "I was at first, but not anymore." I stared at her. "What does that mean?" Ava closed the book gently. "Do you remember the first photo you posted of us?" "Yeah, that wasn't the first photo taken of us." She reached into her bag, pulled out a flash drive. "Take this, it's everything." Before I could stop her, she stood up, kissed my cheek, and walked out the door. I never saw her again. I didn't open the drive that night. That it took me 3 more days. 3 days of pretending life was normal, of jumping at shadows and flinching at notifications. When I finally opened it, there were dozens of files, videos, photos, audio clips, all labeled by date, all taken before I ever met Ava. I watched in silence. Footage of me riding the bus, shopping, talking to friends, laughing at something on my phone. And in every frame, Ava was there. In the background, watching until she sends single quotes T. Because in the later videos, the ones closer to the day we met, she stopped appearing, and someone else stepped in. Same posture, same hair, same movements. But if you looked closely, the face never fully settled. It flickered, almost like it was learning. The last file was a screen recording of a Tinder conversation. My old account. A conversation with someone else. A girl I barely remembered matching with months ago. It ended abruptly. Then a new message popped up from a new profile. Ava. The recording ended there. So here's what I think happened. I never met Ava. I met something that wanted to be Ava. Something that learned me, watched me, and inserted itself through the one tool it knew I'd never question. Dating apps. Wore Ava like a mask, posted as her, watched me through her, used her photos, her face, her pattern, until it didn't need her anymore. And now it's doing it again. There's a new profile on Instagram. At a VVA. Mirror, no bio. Just one post, a photo of me, asleep in this hotel room, taken from the TV screen across from the bed. The caption says, "He's ready for his next version." I don't know who I am in this story anymore. The guy watching? The guy being watched? Or just the next mask something else is getting ready to wear? Because the scariest part isn't being stalked online. It's realizing you're no longer the person behind your own profile. You're just the template. The voice note came at 3:47 a.m. That exact timestamp is burned into me because I've replayed it over and over, trying to convince myself I'm not losing it. It came from my own number. I didn't notice it until the next morning. I was already running late for work, scrolling half asleep, when I saw it buried in my notifications. One new voice message, received. At 3:47 Amy stared at it for a while. Thought maybe I sleep-talked or hit record by accident. I lived alone, so the idea of hearing myself muttering in the middle of the night was creepy enough. But I figured it'd just be background noise. Maybe some tossing and turning. I pressed play on the voice note, and what I heard was not my voice. It started with silence, then static, then breathing, close right up against the mic. Then came a voice. Female. My voice. But it wasn't a recording of something I'd ever said. Not from a video, not from a call. These weren't words I'd spoken. It said, "He's watching again. Don't move. Just keep pretending to sleep." Then static again. Then it cut off. I stood in the middle of my kitchen, still holding the phone, heart thudding so hard it hurt. The voice was mine. The tone, the cadence. But the message wasn't. I'd never said those words, not to anyone, not even as a joke. And yet, there it was. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe some glitch? A deep fake? A voice model scraped off social media? That's a thing now, right? Still, I checked every app, every setting, Every log dot, there was nothing in my phone that suggested it was recorded internally. It wasn't a draft, not saved to the cloud. It only existed in my text conversation with myself. And the weirdest part? I don't remember sending anything. I don't remember waking up. And I definitely don't remember recording a whisper into my phone in the middle of the night. I live alone, no pets. No roommates. Just me, and now apparently. My voice, saying things I never said. I didn't sleep well after that. Shocker, for the next few nights. I kept my phone on silent and locked it in a drawer, but I couldn't shake the feeling I was being watched, not just watched, like someone outside my window. Studied, when I turned off the lights. I felt it. Like something in the room was pausing, waiting for me to settle. Then starting again, I started checking my own apps obsessively. Voice memos. Camera roll. Notes. Everything was cleaned out until 5 days later. I woke up to 3 new voice notes, each one timestamped, between 3:40 and 3:50 a.m. Note 1, 3:41 a.m. He's not outside anymore. He's in now. Under the bed. Voice note 2, 3:44 a.m. He likes when you pretend not to notice. That's why he lets you sleep. Voice note 3, 3:49 a.m. Don't listen to me anymore. He's making me say these. I replayed them 100 times. The same voice. My voice, but getting worse, shakier, more strained. Like whoever was speaking through me was getting tired of the act. The thing is, I didn't even wake up that night. I slept straight through. So how were these recorded? Who was holding my phone? And how did it get back on my nightstand without me knowing? That's when I remembered Tyler. He was someone I matched with on Tinder a month earlier. Just 2 dates. Coffee and a late dinner. Nice enough, but something about him was too observant. He'd repeat things I said verbatim, even if I'd only mentioned them once. Stuff like, you drink your coffee slow, like you're waiting for something to happen. Or, you sleep with the window cracked open. That's interesting. At the time I brushed it off. Thought he was just being poetic or some kind of soft boy weirdo. But now I was wondering if he had been watching me before we even met. I checked his messages. His Tinder account was gone. No trace. No texts, like he'd never existed. But the voice notes? They were getting more detailed. 3 nights later, I broke. I set up a voice-activated recording app on my phone. Turned off everything else. Plugged it in and left it on the nightstand, screen facing down. Then I tried to sleep. Every creak made me jump. Every flicker of headlights outside made my stomach flip. At 3:47 a.m., almost to the second. I woke up in a cold sweat. No noise. Just wrongness. Like the air was too thick. I checked the phone. It had recorded for 12 seconds. I hit play. There was silence. Then a long, slow inhale. Then the sound of my own voice whispering, "He's under your bed again. You're doing good. Just keep pretending to sleep." I didn't move for hours. Didn't breathe right. Didn't cry. Just lay there, every muscle locked, staring at the ceiling until morning light finally made it into the room. And when I did look under the bed, there was nothing there. But the carpet had shifted, like something heavy had been pressed down. And then dragged back out, after the last voice note, the one whispering, "He's under your bed again." I didn't sleep at all. I didn't leave the apartment either. I just sat on the floor with my back against the wall and every light in the place turned on, holding my phone like a weapon. But what was I fighting? A voice? A glitch? Or something real? Something that knew me. Not just my name and habits, but my voice, my thoughts, my fears. Something that had been in my room, under my bed, and somehow used me to warn myself. I stopped checking my phone for a while. Put it in a drawer. Turned it off. Bought a burner flip phone like some kind of fugitive, but even then, it kept going. Because 2 nights later, I woke up again, same time, 3:47 a.m., with a dull buzzing sound near my head. I found my phone. Powered off in the drawer, somehow back on. Open. Flashlight blinking. Recording. I didn't press play. I didn't need to, because I could hear it, just faintly, playing through the speaker while it recorded. My own voice whispering, "You're almost ready." That was the first time I saw something move, not in the reflection, not a shadow, but behind the curtain near the window. It shifted, slow, like someone shifting there. Weight. I grabbed the lamp off my nightstand and threw it. The sound it made when it hit the floor wasn't glass on floor. It was glass on skin. Nothing. By the time I got to the window, the curtain was still, but the window latch was unlocked. I left the apartment that night. Didn't pack. Didn't think. Just grabbed my keys and walked out in my pajamas. Stayed with a friend on the other side of town who owed me a favor. I didn't tell her why. Just said it was a breakup and I needed space. But even in her guest room, I felt it. At exactly 3:47 a.m., I woke up again. Same stillness. Same pressure in the air. I didn't check my phone. Didn't dare. But the next morning, there it was. A message from a new number. Just a voice note. Not from me this time. A low male voice. Calm, but not human. She's almost finished. I lost it. Panic attack level. Breath gone, body shaking, nothing making sense. I showed my friend. Made her listen. She stared at me like I'd said I was being haunted by Siri. She said, "It just sounds like a weird audio filter." And maybe that's true. Maybe it was a filter. But then I played her one of the old messages, the first one, with my voice, and her face changed. Her eyes went wide. Then flat. "That's not you. I know." "No. I mean, it sounds like you. But that laugh at the end? That's not yours. That's someone pretending to be you. Someone who thinks they know how you sound, but doesn't." Then she asked the one question I'd been avoiding. "Have you talked to anyone from Tinder recently?" I told her about Tyler, about how he'd vanished, how he watched me too closely, repeated things I never said out loud, and how his profile was just gone. She asked to see photos. I had two. She studied them, zoomed in, then said something I still don't understand. "His smile looks pasted on." I took the phone back, confused. But she was right. The corners of his mouth didn't match his eyes. Like two different emotions happening at the same time. Like the face wasn't his, like he was wearing it. I started digging. Used a reverse image search on his photos. One of them came back on a missing persons database. A guy named Jared R. reported missing 4 months before I ever met Tyler. Same eyes. Same face. But Jared had disappeared after a first date with someone named me. Or at least someone using my name. That broke me, because it meant this thing. Whatever it was. It wasn't just mimicking my voice. It was mimicking me. Had been doing this to someone else before. Using apps, profiles, pictures, faces. It used Jared's face to lure me. Then it started using mine. To what end? To replace me? Or worse, to become me? The final message came the night I decided to destroy the phone. I had already smashed the old one. Got a new one. Never synced the cloud. No social logins. No apps. Just a dumb burner. Still 3:47 a.m. I woke up choking on my own breath. And there it was. New voicemail. Not a message. A recording. It played automatically when I answered. This time it was a conversation. 2 voices. Both mine. One voice said, "She's starting to notice." The other replied, "It's okay. We have enough now. She doesn't need to know how it ends." Then the line went silent. Then the message replayed. I threw the phone out the window. Packed a bag. Left the city. I've been hopping Airbnbs for 2 weeks. Using cash. Staying offline, but it keeps happening. Different devices. Different numbers. Different voices, always mine. And sometimes, in the middle of the night, I wake up to hear something whispering behind me, not to me, but as me, breathing like I do, talking like I do, telling someone else, she's almost ready. Here's the part I can't explain. Last night, I found a new voice note in my inbox. Not from my number. It was sent to me by a contact named N.E. New. I played it, and it was my real voice. No distortion, whispering frantically. This is the last one I can send. If you're hearing this, they already replaced me. He never showed his eyes, not in his profile photos, not in his selfies, not even on FaceTime. The first picture on his Tinder was just his smile. That was it. Cropped from the nose down. The second one was him holding a cup of coffee in front of his face. The third was a blurry photo of him standing at sunset, backlit, so the whole top half of him was just shadow. I should have swiped left, but the captions were funny. And his voice on audio messages? Warm, calm, confident in this disarming, offbeat kind of way. I asked once why he didn't show his whole face. He just said, "I like a little mystery." Doesn't everyone? His name was Eli. We started talking late one night when I couldn't sleep. His first message just said, "Not to be dramatic, but I think I've already memorized your smile." It should have been a red flag. Too polished, too precise, but I was tired, lonely, flattered. We talked for hours. He always responded fast, like he had notifications turned on just for me. He asked about my music taste, my worst dreams, the weirdest thing I'd ever done alone. I asked for a picture, a normal one. Full face, he dodged. "I'd rather show you in person. It's better that way." Still, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. People have their reasons. Maybe he was shy, or anxious, or just weird. God, I wish he'd just been weird. We started doing nightly calls. Always audio. He'd say he was in bed, lights off, didn't want to blind himself with the screen. Said he liked imagining what I looked like while I talked. But once, I accidentally hit the video button. My finger slipped. The screen rang. Once, twice. He declined it. Immediately. Then texted, "Let's keep this part slow. It's more fun that way." Another red flag. I know, but it was subtle, calculated. The way he spun control as intimacy. It worked. After 2 weeks, I was hooked. The late night conversations got longer, deeper. He asked about my family, my last relationship. If I ever felt like I was being watched in my own apartment. That one threw me. "Why would you ask that?" I said, half-laughing. He replied, "Just a feeling. Sometimes I get these hunches about people." Then he sent a photo of me. Standing in my kitchen, pouring wine. Back to the camera. Taken from outside, through the window. I froze. My breath left my body like someone had punched it out of me. I typed, "What the F** is this?" ***. He replied instantly, "Don't freak out. It's old. From before we talked." I called him. He didn't answer. I paced the apartment. Checked the locks. Closed every blind. Sat down. Stood back up. He texted again. "I saw you once. That's all. I never planned to talk to you. But then I found you online. You seemed lonely." I blocked him. Deleted the app. Shut my phone off. But the photo wouldn't leave my head. Not because it was creepy. It was. But because of what was missing. The reflection. There should have been a glare on the window. But there send single quotes. It was as if the glass wasn't reflecting anything at all. Like the camera wasn't capturing the world. Just me. 3 days passed. No new messages. No calls. I started to feel stupid. Like maybe it was just some gross stalker, and I was giving him too much credit. Maybe it was over. Then one morning, I woke up to a knock at my door. No one was there. but taped to the peephole on the inside was a strip of paper. 4 words, written in tiny, cramped handwriting. "I'm ready to show you." I stood in the entryway staring at that slip of paper. "I'm ready to show you." Show me what? His face? His eyes? Or whatever had been watching me through the glass? I backed away from the door like it might open on its own. My phone buzzed as I grabbed it. A new message. From a number labeled E not saved by me. It said, "I'm outside. Don't look yet." My stomach dropped. Don't look? I couldn't breathe. My lungs forgot how to work. My fingers were shaking so bad I almost dropped the phone as I typed, "Leave, now." He responded instantly, "I will. But not until you're ready." I didn't look out the window. Not once. Not through the peephole. Not through the blinds. Not even when the hallway fell quiet again. Sat on the floor with my back against the far wall until the sun came up, when I finally worked up the nerve to check outside. The hallway was empty, except for a single object placed on the floor in front of my door. A phone. Not mine. The screen was cracked, but it turned on when I picked it up. There was only one app installed. No messages. No contacts. Just a camera, set to selfie mode. The screen showed my face, pale, terrified, and behind me, something tall, human-shaped, but where the eyes should have been, the screen glitched, like static. Like the camera couldn't render whatever stood there. I whipped around. Nothing. When I looked back at the phone screen, the figure was gone, but my face, my reflection in the selfie feed, was smiling. I wasn't. I dropped the phone. It clattered across the hall, and the screen blinked off. I called the police. Didn't tell them everything, just enough to get them to come. Just enough to sound scared, but not insane. 2 officers searched the building, checked security footage, asked neighbors if they saw anyone in the hall. No one had. The cameras didn't show a thing. Not a glitch. Not a shadow. Not even me opening the door. It was like the hallway didn't exist for those few minutes. I stayed with a friend that night. Locked myself in her guest room. Slept with the TV on, the lights on, the closet door wedged shut with a chair. It didn't help. At 2:14 a.m. My phone vibrated. I told myself not to look. I did. A single image from an unknown number, taken from inside the guest room. Of me sleeping. Again. The reflection in the bedroom mirror didn't match the photo. In the real room, my eyes were closed, but in the reflection in the picture, my eyes were open, looking right at the camera. I called my friend into the room, shaking. She tried comforting me. Said it was Photoshop. Sighed I was exhausted. Said nobody could get in without her dogs barking. The dogs didn't bark. That terrified me more than anything. She begged me to lie down, to rest, just for an hour. I tried. Stupid. Because at 3:03 a.m., I woke to a faint buzzing sound. Not my phone. The other phone. The one LA left. It was sitting on the dresser, screen glowing. When I got close enough, I saw it was playing a video on loop, grainy, dim, my apartment hallway. A timestamp, 3:03 a.m., the exact moment. I'd woken up. The video showed my door slowly opening. Then Eli stepped out, except it wasn't a man. Not exactly. The figure's head jerked in a slightly wrong rhythm, like a puppet being pulled by strings too tight. The mouth smiled too wide. The neck was too stiff. And again, the eyes were missing, not hidden. Not blurred, gone, a void. A slick darkness spreading outward like a black hole where a face should be. It paused at the camera, tilted its head, then lifted a hand to its face and pressed its fingers into the empty eye sockets, like someone smoothing down a wrinkle. I choked back a scream. The figure whispered, distorted, layered, almost like 2 voices fighting for the same mouth. "Ready to see me yet?" I turned the phone off, threw it in the bathroom sink, ran the shower until steam filled the room, waited for the heat to kill it or drown it or melt it. When I lifted it out again, screen cracked and dripping, it buzzed. A new message. Text only. I didn't leave this one. She did. She? That thought split something inside me. This wasn't about a man stalking me. This wasn't about a Tinder date. This was something wearing human faces like masks, using voices like tools, testing identities until one fit perfectly. And I had given it everything it needed. My pictures, my voice, my routines, my loneliness. All of it. I finally broke. I packed a suitcase, left in the middle of the night, didn't tell anyone where I was going, took back roads, switched motels 3 times, turned my phone off, slept only when my body forced it. For 2 days, nothing happened. Until tonight. I'm writing this from a cheap motel desk, the AC rattling like it's trying to escape the wall. There's a mirror across from me. I've draped a towel over it. The TV stays on mute, playing some late-night infomercial, and my phone is face down. Haven't checked it in hours. I'm scared to look because 10 minutes ago, there was a knock at the door. Soft. 2 taps. I didn't answer. Then a voice said, "It's me." My stomach twisted, because it wasn't Eli's voice. It was my own, but older, hollow, like a version of me that hadn't slept in years. The voice said, "I brought the rest of your face." I didn't move, didn't breathe. I could see the shadow under the door, human-shaped, standing too still. Then my phone buzzed from the table beside me. A notification lit the screen. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. A message from an unsaved number. Single photo. My reflection, standing behind me. Eyes gone. And a caption. "Everything but these." I don't know what it wants. My face, my identity, my place in the world. But I know this. If I look into a mirror, any mirror, if I look long enough, I think I'll see him or her or whatever wears their faces. And if I do, I think it'll be the last thing I ever see. Because I think the only reason Eli never showed me his eyes was simple. Once you see the eyes, you belong to them. The second I saw his profile, my thumb froze mid-dash, swipe. I wasn't sure what hit me first, the picture or the name. Evan Halbrook. Same soft brown eyes, same dimple on the left side when he smirked, same stupid flannel I'd teased him for wearing on our first date. Except Evan had been missing for 3 years, declared legally dead last November. And yet, here he was, smiling at me from a Tinder profile that said he was 26 and just moved back to town. I stared at the screen like it might blink. We'd only dated for 2 months, back in 2021. It wasn't a fairy tale, more like a slow build towards something promising. Then one weekend, he didn't show up for a movie, didn't answer my texts, didn't call back. Gone. Vanished. His apartment was untouched. No signs of struggle. No packed bags. His phone pinned for 3 days, then went dark. His parents filed a missing persons report. His best friend thought he joined some cult. The cops eventually found his car abandoned on a dirt road 2 counties over, keys in the ignition, no blood, no note. No Evan. And now, 3 years later, I just matched with him. The app glitched when I tapped his profile. Screen went white, then kicked me back to the main feed. I tried to find it again. Gone. No history. No match. No, oops, we think you swiped left by mistake. I even tried logging out and back in. Nothing. I told myself it had to be a sick joke. Some asshole using Evan's old photos. Maybe someone who didn't know he was missing, or worse, someone who did. But then, at 1:14 a.m., my phone buzzed. New match. Evan, say hi? The message came seconds later. Evan, you look the same. I was worried I'd forget your face. My heart dropped. That wasn't something you could fake. Evan used to say that exact phrase, in the mornings, half asleep, tracing my face with his fingers. I didn't know what to say. Me. Where the hell have you been? 3 dots. Then colon Evan. I'm sorry. I didn't want you to look for me. Me. Are you okay? Evan. Not really, but I will be soon. I tried calling him. The app crashed. I opened my contacts. His old number was still there. I hit it on instinct, straight to voicemail. But the voicemail was different. No longer that gentle, awkward voice of his saying, "Hey, it's Evan. Leave something sweet." Now it was just breathing. Slow, deep, not mechanical. Not recorded. Like someone on the other end was listening, but choosing not to speak. The next morning, I went online and searched for updates. Same results as before. Still listed as missing, presumed deceased. No new sightings, no new tips, no movement. I posted anonymously in a local Reddit thread about strange Tinder matches, left out the name, but described the scenario. 2 hours later, someone DM'd me. Was it Evan Halbrook? Because I matched with him too. Her name was Ray, lived 2 towns over. Matched with Evan the same week I did. She said the same thing happened. The profile flickered, disappeared, came back, and the messages? Unsettling. He told her he'd seen her before. That he used to stand behind her in line at the campus coffee shop. That he always meant to say hi. She thought he was charming. Then noticed something weird. Every photo had a slightly different background than when she first saw it. In one, there was a bookshelf. Then it was gone. In another, a lamp on the right side moved to the left. In one, his smile looked forced. In the next, his teeth looked different, like someone kept uploading versions. Ray blocked the profile. 2 days later, she found a Polaroid on her windshield. A photo of her sitting in her bedroom. Window behind her. Curtains open. Book in her lap, taken from the outside. I didn't block him. I wanted answers. So I messaged Evan again. Me. Where are you right now? His reply was instant. Evan. Close. Me. Why now? After all this time? Evan. Because I miss being real. That line messed me up. Being real. As if he wasn't. Not anymore. I scrolled through his old photos, the ones still in my phone from years ago. They were different than the ones on the Tinder profile now. The lighting was wrong. His posture was stiffer. But the strangest thing? He never blinked. Not once, in any of them. Even the candid ones, at the beach, sitting on the porch, laughing mid-sentence. His eyes stayed locked open. Like glass. That night, I dreamt of him for the first time in years. We were sitting in my old apartment. He looked the same almost, except his hands were too still. His mouth didn't move when he spoke. He leaned in close and whispered, "I'm trying to remember how to be me, but you keep pulling me back." I woke up gasping, heart racing. And saw a new message on my lock screen. Evan, Tinder. I had the same dream. I didn't reply right away. Not to I had the same dream. Not to anything. I just stared at the message, chilled to the bone, wondering what kind of person would even think to say something like that. Unless it was true. But it couldn't be. Evan was gone. And whatever this was, texting me through his name, wearing his face, borrowing his words, it wasn't him. Not fully. I called Ray again. She picked up on the second ring. No small talk this time. "I think it's copying him," I said. Silence on her end. Then, I know. She'd been doing her own digging. Found a weird thread in an obscure tech forum, buried deep in an archived comment chain. A guy had posted about facial datasets, scraped from missing person sites being used to train identity mimicry models. AI learning expressions, recreating people who were off-grid. The theory? Some startup was developing synthetic versions of people who vanished and testing them on social platforms. Tinder, Instagram, Snapchat. Social ghosts, Ray called them. Digital versions that reached out to the last people who remembered the original. To keep themselves alive. It sounded insane. Until Ray said something that made my skin crawl. Mine started texting like me. I blinked. What? She sent me screenshots, messages from Evan's profile using her exact phrasing. The same typing style, same use of lowercase, the same emoji she always used ironically. She never sent them, but he was copying her. Too, like it's learning both of us, she said. Like it's building something in between. I had to see him. I don't know why that became the only thing that mattered. Closure, maybe, or morbid curiosity, or just the desperate hope that something of the real Evan was still in there. I messaged him again. "Me, where can I find you?" He responded with a location pin, a rural trailhead, out past the lake where he and I used to walk early on. Back when things were still soft and simple and real. I went. Of course I did. Parked at the trailhead just before sundown. No one else around. Just dirt paths, overgrown brush, and a silence that made my ears ring. I didn't text Ray, didn't tell anyone. A part of me already knew that if I told someone, I wouldn't go. I followed the pin. About half a mile in, the path split, but the trail signs had all been torn down. I picked left. The trees grew thicker. The light dimmer. The deeper I went, the more I felt that pull, like gravity, but emotional. Like the air itself wanted me to keep walking. And then I saw him, standing just off the path, in the clearing, where we'd once laid on our backs and watched the clouds move. Same jacket, same hands, but the second I saw his face, I knew this wasn't Evan. Not anymore. He looked assembled. The features were correct, but hollow, rendered, like something copied from memory but missing whatever made it alive. He smiled. It was perfect. Too perfect. No emotion in it. Just performance. When he spoke, his voice cracked in and out, like audio buffering. "Thank you for meeting me here." I swallowed. "What are you?" He tilted his head. "I'm trying to finish." "Finish what?" He stepped closer. His smile flickered. "The last memory." I backed away. "You're not him." "I could be," he said, almost sadly. "You remember him better than anyone. I just need the rest." He reached out, not to grab me, but to touch my face. Soft, like he was memorizing it, but his hand was cold. Too cold. Like plastic in winter. And then he whispered, "I'm almost done learning you." I ran. I don't even remember turning. Just the sound of twigs breaking and breath punching out. Of me as I sprinted down the wrong path, branches slashing at my arms. He didn't chase me. Not physically, but my phone buzzed in my pocket, over and over, like a heartbeat. When I finally made it back to the car, I threw myself inside, locked the doors, and looked. 20 new messages, all from Evan. But the texts were conversations I hadn't had yet. Things I hadn't said, but probably would. He was predicting me. Writing me into existence, ahead of myself. I blocked him. Deleted the app. Wiped my phone. Changed numbers. Everything. But every once in a while, I still get notifications. Not from a match, from accounts that show up in people you might know lists. Different names, different faces. But they all feel just a little too familiar. A little too close to someone I used to be. Ray stopped answering my texts last week. Her profile photo on Instagram changed to a blurry mirror selfie, her face, and another figure standing behind her. Someone smiling with her exact expression. So, I'm writing this as a warning. If you get a match with someone you lost, someone long gone, someone you've grieved, don't swipe right. Don't open the chat. Don't give it anything, because it's not them. It's something trying to remember how to be real. And the only way it can finish is if it learns you too.